last time we did the naming of a unbranched alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. So we basically did the naming of unbranched hydrocarbons. I still remember we tackled on even how to write the structural formula if you have got an unbranched a hydrocarbon. But now we need to kind of pace up a bit and go to the branched ones. So you guys need to remember the difference between the branched hydrocarbons and the unbranched hydrocarbons. I think last time when I introduced, I mentioned the difference, and you guys must also be able to identify the parent chain. I think we did this exercise and you guys were able to see which one is branched, which one is unbranched. So now today we're gonna start with naming the branched hydrocarbons. Okay, so before we get to that, we need to introduce the concept of substituents. So whenever you hear of the term substituents, what are we talking about actually? So basically, a substituent, it can be a side chain or it can be a halogen that is attached to the parent chain. So basically, when you've got a side chain or you have got a halogen, remember guys, the halogens are the ones that are found on group number 7 on the periodic table. So it can either be a halogen or it can be a side chain. Yes, Orifa?
So is a side chain an alkyl?
Yes, so a side chain is actually known as an alkyl group, but we're gonna get there, don't worry, gonna get there. Let's just move at my pace. So basically, when I talk about the substituents, it simply means that we've got a parent chain. For example, when we look at this diagram, we've got a parent chain. This is a parent chain because it is having the highest number of carbons, and also the functional group is found on that chain. You guys can see that this parent chain is having 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons in total. So I'm going to say that this is my parent chain. So now you guys can realize that this is a branched molecule because we are having a side chain, or we are having another carbon that is kind of protruding out of the parent chain, because this carbon is not part of the parent chain. So once the carbon is not part of the parent chain, as I explained last time, I said that we say that this is a what? This is a side chain. So basically this side chain, it is actually a substituent. The proper term that we use, we say it's a what? It's a substituent. So this is a side chain, and in this case you guys can see that our side chain is made up of 1 carbon that is bonded to 3 hydrogens. So you guys can recognize the parent chain, right? This one that is straight, having 4 carbons in it. It is the parent chain because it has got the most number of carbons, the highest number of carbons. Okay, and then out on the side we are having another chain of carbon. It's only 1 carbon, yes, but we say it's known as a side chain, or it's a substituent. So whenever you hear me talking about the terms such as side chain, such as substituent, we're simply referring to either a side chain or a halogen. Yeah, so a substituent can either be a side chain or a halogen. Let us look at compound B, for example, just to further our understanding a bit here. On compound B, you guys can see the parent chain here. The parent chain has got how many carbons in total? How many carbons can we find in the parent chain? From what you see, guys, how many carbons are found in the longest carbon chain? Yes, Orifa? Okay, let's hear from someone else. Orifa is taking yes, Nobu?
7.
Yes, we're having 7, right? I think Shadrach was also going to say the same thing. We guys can all see that the parent chain in this particular compound, we are having 7 carbons. Yes, Sam?
So what was the question?
Okay, the question was, in compound B, or on compound B, how many carbons are found in the parent chain?
Okay.
Yes, so here Orifa and Nobu and everyone else who was able to identify, they were able to identify that here, if we highlight the longest carbon chain, it can be this straight chain. This can be the longest carbon chain. If you count the number of carbons there, that is going to give you, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it the highest, or is it the longest one? Having 7 carbons in it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so this is our what? This is our parent chain. So this is our parent chain. Even if you were to count it from this way, guys, even if you were to highlight it from here and say that it starts here and it moves and moves and goes there and goes there and goes, comes and comes and comes and comes and comes back, this will still be 7 coupons as well. This can still be the parent chain as well. So basically our parent chain, or the chain, the coupon chain that has got the highest number of coupons, it has got 7 coupons in it. So now we want to see what are other substituents, or what are other things that are attached to the parent chain, because a substituent is everything else that is attached to the parent chain besides hydrogen, because hydrogen it forms part of an organic compound. Okay, we cannot say that this hydrogen is a side chain. No, that would be incorrect. But when we see any other thing besides a hydrogen, it can be a halogen, or it can be a chain of carbons that is attached to one of these carbons in the parent chain, then we say that is a what? A substituent. For example, here in this compound, you guys can see that this chain here, these 2 carbons, this chain that is made up of 2 carbons, can you guys notice that it is attached to the parent chain, but it is not part of the parent chain? Because when we are counting the carbons in the parent chain, we're saying that this is carbon 1, this is carbon 2, this is carbon 3, this is carbon 4, this is carbon 5, this is carbon 6, and this is carbon 7. So you guys realize that this other side chain, or these other 2 carbons that are kind of protruding out of this parent chain, they are not part of the parent chain. So we say that's a what? That's a side chain, or you can say that's a substituent. So this is the first substituent that you can have. So in an organic molecule, we can have multiple substituents. It is not only restricted to only have one substituent, like the problem that we did on A, because A, remember, we only had one side chain, which was our substituent. But on compound B, we can realize that we've got other things that are attached to the parent chain. Which other thing can you notice? Which other substituent, guys, can you notice from compound B? Which other substituent? Let's see. Yes, Orifa.
The bromine. The
Bromine.
halogen.
Yeah, so we're having bromine there. So the bromine there is a halogen. So once you see a halogen attached to the parent chain, this is a bromine attached to carbon 4, to carbon number 4 of the parent chain. So basically we can say that our bromine there, that is what? That is a substituent. That is another substituent. So it's like substituent number 2. This is substituent number 2. That one, that side chain is also a substituent as well, but I just wrote side chain for simplicity purposes. So this Br, it serves as a substituent as well. Let's hear yes, Sam.
Number 6 again.
On number 6, what do we see, Sam, on number 6?
Methyl, sir.
Yes, we see another carbon chain. We see another substituent. Basically, let's just call it a substituent, because we're having another carbon that is not part of the what? Part of the parent chain. So in this case, we can say that our compound B, it consists of 3 substituents. So the substituents can either be a side chain, or they can be what? They can be a halogen. All right, let's just continue. I just want you guys to get used to identifying all the substituents, so that you guys be fine when you are naming them. Let's go to C. When we look at C, we can see that our parent chain here, let me just highlight it for you to make things easier. So this is the parent chain that I'm able to see. It is consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Okay, so this has got a pent in its name. It's consisting of 5 carbons. What other substituents do you guys see there? Do you see any substituents, or this is just an unbranched thing? Yes, Orifa?
There's a methyl. There's a methyl on carbon number 3.
Okay, yes. Before we give it a name, let's just say we have a substituent. Let's just say we have a substituent.
Oh,
or we
sorry.
have a side chain. Remember, guys, here we are building a concept. Yes, you might already know what this is, but some other people haven't started with organic chemistry. So we just want to build the concept first. So let's just call it a substituent for now. Or in this case, this substituent is a side chain, right? Remember, guys, when you say it's a side chain, it simply means that it consists of carbon. Okay, whatever it is that is not part of the parent chain, it has some carbon in it. So we say it's a side chain, but a side chain is a substituent basically. So generally, a side chain is a substituent. So it's a side chain. Okay, let's go to D, guys. How many substituents do we have on D? Yes, raise your hands, guys. Well, how many substituents do we have on compound E, Njalo? I think I misnumbered this. Okay, let's see how many carbons Nogu. How many substituents? Let's see.
So two substituents, chlorine and carbon.
Yes, we have two carbon substituents here because we can see that this can be our main chain. Let me just highlight my main chain or my parent chain. I can highlight it in this way. And we can say that here, this is our carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, and carbon 4. So we can see that on carbon number 2, we are having two other things that are not hydrogen, but they are attached to carbon number 2. We have got a Cl there, the chlorine atom. It's a chloro when we name it later on. Okay, so we've got a Cl atom. It's a halogen, so it is a substituent. We also have got another side chain here. This side chain, you can see that we are having a side chain here that is consisting of carbon, that is consisting of one carbon. This is a side chain. This carbon here that is kind of not part of the parent chain. Say this is our other substituent. So here we're having two. Okay, so this exercise was just to get you guys in the mode of identifying the substituents, know how to identify the substituents. Now let's go to the naming of such organic compounds, because remember, guys, once an organic compound is branched, it means that it has a substituent, because basically the branch or the side chain, it actually is a substituent. So it is essential for you guys to be able to identify what substituents that we have. So last time, guys, remember that when we did IUPAC naming system, we talked about the root name, and you guys, I'm now sure that you are aware that the root name indicates the number of carbons on the parent chain. That's why I put a tick here, because we did it last time. Okay, let's say, for example, if you see the root name having pentane, that is the root name, it tells you that we're having 5 carbons in the parent chain. Talk about a root name that has got a bute in it. Maybe let me just say this is butane. You guys already know that the bute there represents that we've got 4 carbons in the parent chain. Talk about something that has got a hex there. Let's just say this is hexanol. Even if you don't know how to name alcohols yet, the hex there, it tells you that we're having what? We're having 6 carbons in the parent chain. So we've already done that one. As well as the suffix, guys, I already told you that the suffix, it tells you the homologous series. For example, if it ends with an ane, it's an alkane. If it ends with an ol, it is an alcohol, and so on and so forth. So today we are now shifting from just these simple naming structures to those complicated, not really complicated, but once we have got a branch or once we've got a side chain, how do we name it? So basically, what I told you guys last time is that we omitted the prefix, because remember, guys, that the prefix, it is the first part of the name. So before you write this root name and stuff, you must write the first part of the name, and that's first part, it must be the substituent. And remember, guys, that the substituent can either be what? It can either be a side chain. It can be a side chain. A side chain, it consists of a carbon, right? It must have a carbon in it. Or it can be a halogen. At least for grade 12, you'll only do this one. But if you do chemistry later on in life at any point, you'll probably find out of more things, okay? So now, this side chain, basically, when we have got a substituent, which is a side chain, the one that contains a carbon, we say that it is known as an alkyl group. We say it's known as an alkyl group. So, for example, if we just go back to our naming exercise, the one that we did previously, you can see that compound A, it has got this side chain consisting of one carbon. So this is an alkyl group. Okay, it's an alkyl group. Talk about compound B. You can see that on compound B, at some point, we have got a substituent on carbon number 3 that is having 2 carbons. That is also another alkyl group. As long as there is a carbon in the side chain, okay, as long as the chain that is not, or as long as it is not part of the parent chain or is not part of the main chain, it's a branch. It is actually branching out, or it is protruding out of the parent chain. We say it's known as an alkyl group. But this halogen is not an alkyl group, guys. And alkyl groups only apply to a substituent that has got some carbon in it. Okay, so when we are naming these side chains, the last part of their name will be a YL. There will be a YL to show that it's an alkyl group. But now, how do we now name these side chains? That is what's most important. So we'll look particularly at the prefix, which shows the substituent. All right, so let me write a simple branched hydrocarbon. Okay, so let's name the alkyl substituent. Today we're only going to do the alkyl substituent. Then when we come back next time, we're going to do the halogen one, whereby we name haloalkanes. So for now, we're going to name the hydrocarbons. All right, so let me just say we have got this as our compound. Okay, so this is our compound, and then at this point, let me just put a CHH here. So we can all see, guys, that this compound is a branched alkane. You guys can see that this is an alkane, right? It's a branched alkane. So this branched alkane, if we're to highlight its main chain, you can either say that it is this one. You can just take this straight chain as the parent chain, or you can highlight it in other ways. You can even highlight it in this way. It'll still be the same thing. You can highlight it like this and say that this is your main chain, because all of them, they will still consist of 4 carbons in total. So basically, this is the parent chain. Okay, so now we can see that here, when we highlight our parent chain, I'm sure this blue one is our parent chain, right? This is our parent chain. We have got a side chain there, because we have got one carbon that is kind of excluded, or that is not part of this parent chain. And in this case, it is this carbon here. There is one carbon here that is excluded. Yes, Sam?
Oh, sir, even though I make the parent chain to be straight, still look okay, sir.
It will still be the same name. Don't worry. It will still be on carbon number 2 if you count in the correct manner.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, definitely. So you can see, guys, that we're having this carbon that is kind of on the side. All right, it's on the side, so it's kind of our side chain. All right, so remember, guys, our parent chain, it can be either the straight one or this one that I just highlighted right now. So get used to maneuvering on both. So this carbon here, it is our side chain. If our side chain consists of one carbon, we say that it's a methyl group. So if our alkyl group, which is our side chain, if it consists of one carbon, we say it's known as as a methyl group. For example, here in this particular compound, if we number the carbons, let's just say we number them from top to bottom and say that this is our carbon 1, this is carbon 2, this is carbon 3, and this is carbon 4. Right, so basically we're having 4 carbons here. So when you want to name this compound, how are you going to name it? First of all, you are going to tell us the position of the alkyl group, the position of the substituent. In this case, our substituent, it is this side chain, which I have highlighted in yellow. It consists of one carbon. So if it has got one carbon that is bonded to 3 hydrogens, it's known as a methyl group. So basically, when you've got one carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. So if your side chain, it consists of one carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens, and this other bond is bonded to the parent chain, of course, then you say that this is a what? This is a methyl. So you use the term methyl. So you write methyl and then you name the compound. But you must mention, where is this methyl group found? Okay, so here in this case, guys, we numbered our carbons in this way, like 1, 2, 3, 4 in this conversion in this way. So our methyl group, on which position is it? On which position is our methyl group? On which carbon? Basically, that's what I'm asking. Yes, Shadrach.
It's on carbon number 2, sir.
Yes, it's on carbon number 2. So when you get to carbon number 2, you can see that is where this methyl group is attached. Because guys, remember that the substituent attaches to one of the carbons in the parent chain. So in this parent chain, this methyl group, this alkyl group, means that we've got a carbon having 3 hydrogens, a methyl group, that is its name. It is attached to carbon number 2. So before we start naming our compound, we start by mentioning that on carbon number 2, we have got a what? We have got a methyl group. So when I write 2-methyl, I'm trying to say that on carbon number 2 in this molecule, I have a what? I have a methyl group there. A methyl group simply means that it's a side chain, or it's an alkyl substituent that consists of 1 carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. So that is methyl. So this is 2-methyl. Then you go back to your normal way of naming things. Remember guys, when you are naming things, the normal way that we said we take, we need the prefix, we also need the root name, we also need the suffix. Remember the root name, you need to just count the number of carbons on the parent chain. So you come here now, after writing all the substituents that are present. In this case, we only have got 1 substituent, right? So after writing the substituent that is present, you now count the number of carbons in the parent chain. In this case, we're having 4 carbons in the parent chain. So the root name that will be assumed there, it will be BUT. You guys still have your table. I still remember I gave you a table last time, guys, showing you if you've got a certain number of carbons in the parent chain, this is the root name that you give to that organic compound. So I'm going to write a but there, and then this is my root name. And then after the root name, the suffix or the last part of the name must tell me the homologous series to which this organic compound belongs, as you guys already know. So this organic compound, to which homologous series does it belong? Yes, Nobu?
So it's an alkane.
Yes, it's an alkane because you can only see single bonds between the carbon atoms, and also this is a hydrocarbon. We don't have any other element. Okay, it is just having carbon and hydrogen only. For you to say that it's an alkane, there are only single bonds between the carbon atoms, and also it has got only carbons and hydrogens only. Because there can be single bonds between carbon atoms, but Toluwuti, there is an oxygen somewhere, and that will never make it an alkane. So for it to be an alkane, it must have single bonds between the carbon atoms, and it must also be a hydrocarbon. It must only consist of carbon and hydrogen only. So the suffix that you're going to use is ane, because remember guys that for alkanes, the last part of the name is an ane. So this is our complete name. It is 2-methyl-butane. Easy, right? Is it hard, guys? Yeah, it's pretty easy. Even if you highlight the straight chain as your parent chain, your name will never be the same. So guys, now let me show you what wrong thing you can do here. Hey, this is the wrong thing that you can do. Let me just wrap this numbering and say, let me count my carbons from this carbon here and say this is carbon 1, carbon 2, this is carbon 3, carbon 4. Okay. So do you see guys now that I've reversed my counting of the carbons? I've started with this carbon here, this terminal carbon here at the end, and I've counted backwards and then downwards. Why would this be wrong? This counting, why would it be wrong? Anyone who knows why this numbering system of my carbons is wrong at this point? Yes, Orifa?
It's wrong because the carbon with the substituent does not have the lowest number.
Yes, so basically guys, if you number it in this way, let's just name it, let's just assume that you did the correct thing. Let's just assume that you did the correct thing, and we try or we attempt to name this. The name here, it will be 3-methyl-butane. If you attempt to name this, you would say this is 3-methyl-butane. Okay, And someone will be like, yes, it's fine. The methyl group or this side chain is on carbon number 3, because if we number it in reverse like the way we did, this methyl here or this carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens is on carbon number 3. So if you would say 3-methyl butane and you justify it, it will still be incorrect. Reason being, each and every substituent, it must always have the lowest number possible. Okay, so even though this is an alkane, this methyl group or this substituent, this side chain, which is the methyl group, it must have the lowest numbered carbon as much as possible. So if you're gonna number it from this side in this direction that I just made, it will assume this methyl group is on carbon number 3. But if you number it the way that we numbered it at first, it would say it is 2. So which number is greater between 2 and 3? It would be which number is smaller between 2 and 3? It would be 2. So essentially we'll take the one with 2, because our substituent must always occupy the lowest position or the lowest numbered carbon. Are we together, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sam, what's your question?
No, sir. I was trying to answer this question. So, sir, in other words, you can say, if you have a visitor, you must first attempt the visitor if you park.
Oh, yes. Good way of remembering it. If you have got a visitor, first attend the visitor when it comes to packing the food. Can you translate that to English? Packing the food, dishing the food, or whatever. Okay, beautiful English there. So basically, whenever you have got a visitor, which is your substituent, make sure that they've got the lowest number possible. Like, prioritize them first. Awesome. Okay, so what if our substituent has got 2 carbons? Let's just say now we've got a substituent or our side chains, or we've got 2 carbons that are not part of the parent chain, right? And then obviously, if we've got 2 carbons, they must have hydrogens on them. In this case, they would have 5 hydrogens in total. These, and then the other bond, it will be bonded to the parent chain. Let's just show that so that you guys understand why this other bond is missing. So let me just say I'm going to say this is my example 1. Then if I do some example 2 and I say that this is C, 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 and then C. Okay, let's just say, and then C, and then let's see, and C, C, and then let's see, and H here. Here, let's just put an H and then H. Space constraints here. This PowerPoint is giving me problems. And another H here. So let's just complete the bonds. Remember, each carbon atom must be surrounded by 4 bonds. So let's just take this compound, guys. You can see that this is an alkane, right? Because we are putting these single bonds between the carbon atoms, and also it is a hydrocarbon. It consists of carbon and hydrogen atoms only. Okay, so this is our alkane, compound number 2. So this alkane, if you try to highlight the parent chain here would have how many carbons? The parent chain, how many carbons do you expect it to have?
6.
6, right? So you can highlight it in this way and say that this is your parent chain. This straight one is a parent chain. It has got the most number of carbons, is like 6. Okay, or you can choose it to highlight it from bottom to top. You can highlight it in this way and say that from here to here, this is your parent chain. It will still be the same thing, guys, because all of it gives us 6 carbons. Okay, so your parent chain, it is not always straight. Okay, you can make it straight or you can make it bend, but the effect on the parent chain is that it must have the most number of carbons, and also the functional group must be found on the parent chain. So that is the whole purpose of the parent chain itself. So you can highlight it either as a straight chain, or you can highlight it in such a way that it makes a curve, or it kind of bends in a way. So let's just highlight it as this one. Just say this is our parent chain. Now, if you look carefully, guys, on this parent chain, let's just say now, do you see any other chain, either an alkyl group or a halogen that is attached to this parent chain? Yes, Orif.
It's a ethyl.
Yes, so we are having here, we're having a substituent. Let's just call it a substituent for now. We're having a substituent having 2 carbons. So here at the side, we're having a substituent. We say it's a substituent because now it is not part of the parent chain. So it is having 2 carbons in it. Okay, and it is having 5 hydrogens. You guys can count that manually because here we've got 1 carbon, 2 carbons. We've got 5 hydrogens. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hydrogens. So basically, do you see that, guys? This side chain, it is attached to the parent chain. So here when we are writing it here, I'm just leaving this bond, 1 bond here, to show that this bond will be attached to this carbon in the parent chain. Alright, that is why when I write this structural formula for the alkyl groups, I'm just leaving 1 small bond to show that this bond will be the one that will be attached to the parent chain, because this is the parent chain, Anish, and we are attaching a side chain to it. So let's just leave 1 open bond so that it can be able to attach. So if this substituent consists of 2 carbons, we say now it's an ethyl group. So we use ethyl group. You hardly do propyl, guys. In grade 12, you are most likely to just end at ethyl. Okay, so these are our substituents. So now let's just look at these examples and try to name this. We're having this as our example 1. Let's just give it its name. Let's highlight first the parent chain. You guys can see that this is our parent chain. And then this parent chain, it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Okay, if you try to highlight this one, guys, okay, you see the one that I've highlighted in red, right? Let me try to highlight this one and say that let's take our parent chain from this carbon and go all the way to this carbon. Is this the parent chain, guys? The blue one? Like if you highlighting from this carbon at the bottom to this carbon, to this carbon, to this carbon, this one that I highlighted for the second time, would you say that this is the parent chain, guys? Would you say that this is the parent chain?
No.
Why not?
No.
No, sir.
Why not?
Because it doesn't have the most amounts of consecutive carbons.
Yes, it doesn't have the highest number of carbons in it, okay? Because we can see that we can still draw another chain that would have more carbons than this. For this one, it has got only 4. But if we try and highlight the first straight chain here, it has got 5 carbons. So this one, by default, it has to be the parent chain. It has to be our parent chain. So this is our parent chain consisting of 5 carbons, and we are seeing a side chain. This side chain, it is having how many carbons? Because this will be a side chain because it is the only one left out. This side chain, how many carbons is it having?
1.
It is only having 1 carbon bonded to 3 hydrogen. So we say that this is a what? This is a methyl group, because remember, guys, that when there's only 1 carbon in the side chain or in the substituent, we say methyl. Now let's talk about the numbering. Am I going to number my carbons from left to right or from right to left?
It does not matter.
For this one, it won't matter, right? Because even if we count from left to right, this would be our carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5. Even if you count from right to left, guys, our substituent will still be on carbon number 3, because this will be carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5. So it's kind of this is more like the molecule is symmetric about this carbon 3. Okay, let's not use those terms to keep things simple. But basically, even if we count from left to right or from right to left, we definitely know that we are still going to get our substituent to be on the same carbon, which is carbon number 3. So when you now write the name, you're just going to write that on carbon number 3, we are finding a methyl group. We are finding a methyl group on carbon number 3. And then you count the numbers in the parent chain because you are done with all the substituents. It's only 1 substituent, of course, it's methyl. And then since this is having 5 carbons, their root name must have a pent in it, remember? And then now looking at the homologous series to this belongs, we've already identified earlier on that this is an alkane, because we are saying that it's a hydrocarbon. It has got single bonds between the carbon atoms as well. So we must end with the suffix ane. So this is 3-methyl pentane. That's how we name it. Now quick guys, we've got like 1 minute 10 seconds before we go to our break, our Zoom break. This one, what is the name of this compound? This one. What is the name of this compound?
So which one? The B.
Yeah, compound 2. Yes, Sam.
B
Yes,
is
Sam.
a.
You can raise your hand. Yes, Sam.
So, sir, do you want the full name, Norma?
Yeah, you can just say the full name.
Okay, so I think it's going to be 3-ethanol. Oh, 3-ethanol.
Ethanol.
2,3.
What is
No.
ethanol, man?
Dimethyl, sir.
Dimethyl. Let's go to a break. We'll come back.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
Yeah, so before into the break, we're trying to name this compound. What name did you find, guys? How can you name this compound? Yes, no.
Yes, I can say it's 3-methyl.
3- what?
3-methyl.
Methyl.
Oh, sir, it's an ethyl.
Yes.
Pentane.
Pentane. Guys, please, let's not guess the substituents. Number one thing that you do, you identify the parent chain. The parent chain is the one that I've highlighted here in red because it is the one having the highest number of carbons. Okay, it is the highest number of carbons. You can even highlight it in this way. You can even highlight it from this point until you get to this one and say that this is your parent chain. Okay, if you highlight it in this way, it means that you will still have the side chain. It will still be the same thing. So you can either highlight it in a straight way or in this way, but as long as your parent chain has got the highest number of carbons or has got the most carbons in it, and then the rest will be the side chains. So in this case, it's way good and it's way neater for us to just highlight it as a straight chain. So this is our straight chain, our parent chain. Okay, so here we can see that we can number our carbons, but which way is the right way of numbering the carbon? Should we number them from left to right or from right to left? Yes, no.
Either way, sir.
Either way is the same, because if we number them from left to right, this is going to be carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, and carbon 5. So basically, if you number them from left to right and from right to left, you are still going to get your functional group being on the your branch or your substituent being on the same carbon. Because if you number this from right to left, you would have to start here and say this is carbon 1, and say this is carbon 2, and say this is carbon 3, and say this is carbon 4, and then this is carbon 5. So even if you number it from left to right or from right to left, for this one, specifically for these ones, okay, but later on you will see what the numbering matters for some other ones. But for this one, even if you number from left to right or from right to left, you only find out that this substituent or this side chain that we're having, it is on carbon 3 no matter what. And this side chain that we're having, guys, this is not a dimethyl. Don't call it a dimethyl, because it's only one substituent that is containing or that is consisting of 2 carbons, as we've discussed. We have said that once you see with your side chain, it consists of 2 carbons bonded together, guys, because this is not 2 methyl groups. No. A methyl, we're not talking about a methyl group, guys. We're talking about a carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. That's a methyl group. Okay, so if you're gonna say that this is dimethyl, it does gonna be absolutely wrong, because here is a different scenario, because we're having two carbons that are bonded together. Okay, and they've got 5 hydrogens in total, so that's an ethyl group. So this is not dimethyl. We are still going to see what is dimethyl, but basically for now this is an ethyl group because it's an alkyl substituent, or it's a side chain, or it's just a chain of carbons that is not part of the parent chain, and in this case it consists of 2 carbons in it. So that's an ethyl group. Okay, and then now basically that's why we say that this one that we are finding on carbon number 3, so on carbon number 3 we have been able to identify that we have got an alkyl substituent. This is an alkyl substituent because it has got a carbon in it, and this alkyl substituent, it is consisting of 2 carbons, so we use the term ethyl. So this is 3-ethyl pentane. You guys already know that the pent means that we're having 5 carbons in the longest chain, then the ane means it's an alkane, simply said. So this is how we name them. If we only have got one substituent, we don't have too much of a stress. We just name them using our IUPAC naming or our IUPAC standard. Are you guys all getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so after that we now need to look at what if we have got a scenario whereby we have got 2 or more substituents. Okay, so we can have 2 or more substituents. How do we deal with that case? For example, here if you look at compound 1, the parent chain that you can achieve there, the parent chain, it must have how many carbons? In this case, the parent chain on compound 1, the first example, the first organic, how many carbons?
3.
Yes, whatever.
3.
3, right? So basically, even if you highlight it in whatever way, it will still give you 3 carbons as the highest number of carbons found in that chain. So if we say that here, this is 3 carbons, let's just highlight this 3 chain and say that this is what? This is 3 carbons. That gives us our parent chain. So our parent chain is very clear. And then now, what else is bonded to the parent chain? What else is attached to the parent chain but is not really in the parent chain? Because we can see that here we have got a carbon, the first carbon, we've got 3 carbons in the parent chain. This is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. So what else is attached to the parent chain but it is not within this parent chain, this box representing the parent chain? Yes, Orifa?
So we have 2 methyls.
So we have got 2 methyls. If you notice very carefully, guys, and if we number our carbons here, since it's 3 carbons, we can number from left to right or from right to left. It will be the same thing. So this is carbon 1, this is carbon 2, and this is carbon 3. So on carbon number 2, this carbon in the middle of the parent chain, it is bonded to 2 methyl groups, because on one side you can see that this is a methyl group, right? This is a methyl group because we're having a carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. So that's your methyl group. This is 1 methyl group. But on the other hand, you can see down here, guys, we are still having another methyl group. You guys can see that this is still a carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. So this is also a what? This is also a methyl group. So in this case, we're having 2 substituents, and they are what? They are similar, or they are identical. So we're having 2 or more substituents, but they are the same. Okay, they are the same because, guys, this is methyl on top. This is also methyl at the bottom. So basically, we have the same type of substituent repeatedly. It's actually repeated. Okay, so basically, before we write the name, or whenever we are writing the name, the IUPAC name, we need to write some corresponding prefix first before the name of the alkyl substituent. Because remember that this alkyl substituent is a methyl group, but you must give a prefix before you write that is a methyl group. That prefix will tell you how many of those methyl groups do you have. Actually, we're having the same methyl group, but we are having 2 of them in this case. So you make reference to this table that I've made here. This table here. So this table here that has got a blue in it, a blue color in it. If you have got 2 substituents that look alike, you write a di before you write the name of the substituent. So you first write di and then you tell us the name of the substituents. For example, if you say dimethyl, it tells us that we're having what? It tells us that we are having 2 methyl groups in the compound. 2 methyl groups. If we are having 3 methyl groups, let's just say if we're having 3 substituents that are the same, guys. No, not a methyl and an ethyl. No, it is like a methyl and a methyl. Just like in this example here. On one side, you are having what? You are having a methyl group. And then on the other side is also a methyl group. So these 2 are identical. So when they are identical, you don't need to name them one by one and say that you have got a methyl and a methyl. You just say it is dimethyl. You use the corresponding prefix di. So here, if I want to name this compound, I'm going to mention first the position where I'm finding these methyl groups. Each and every position. In this case, the first methyl group, on which carbon am I finding the first methyl group? This one. On which carbon am I finding it? Here's Orifa.
2.
Carbon number 2, right? So we can say that the first methyl group is found on carbon number 2. Right, but because we've got 2 of this methyl group, you don't just say this is 2 and then you put a dash. No, you must also mention with the second methyl group here, on which carbon is it found. You put a comma to separate the numbers. On which carbon will be the second methyl group be found? This one at the bottom. Just look at the parent chain and identify which carbon is it. Is it carbon 1, carbon 2, or carbon 3?
2, sir.
It is still on carbon 2. Okay, so you must write 2, 2. So this is 2, 2. You are telling us that, okay, let's just write it 2, 2, then you put a dash. Then you can now say that here we are having methyl groups. All of these are methyl groups, but there are 2 of them. So that is when you start saying dimethyl. We're having the methyl groups, but all of them, they are similar. This is dimethyl. So basically here, what's happening here, to explain this numbering system, we are trying to say that on carbon 2, we have got a methyl group. And also on carbon 2, we have another methyl group. So you must indicate the 2, 2. You don't just say 2. If you just say 2, you are talking about only one methyl group. But if you say 2, 2, it means that we are having 2 methyl groups here. We're having 2 methyl groups. Both of them found on carbon number 2. Then you can write the dimethyl. So this di is our corresponding prefix that tells us how many of these methyl groups do we have. How many methyl groups do we have? Okay, if we have got 2, it is di. If we have got 3, it is tri. If we have got 4, it is tetra. But you can never have 1 because if it is just 1, we just say it's methyl. We don't give anything. But if it is 2, we say it's dimethyl. If we're having like 2 methyl groups in that compound, it doesn't mean that they must always be at the same position or on the same carbon. They can be bonded to different carbons, but as long as we have got 2 or more substituents that are all identical, that are the same. If you have got a methyl and a methyl, okay, you must first write some corresponding prefix that tells us which one, that tells us how many of them do we have. And then after that, you complete your name, because this, remember guys, that here we look at the parent chain is having 3 carbons in the longest chain, right? So we are going to use a prop there. We're going to use a prop. And looking at our homologous series, we can just say that this is only single bonds between the carbon atoms. Okay, so we know that at the end of the day, this is going to be an alkane. It's also a hydrocarbon. So at the end of the day, we must have an A in there at the end, which is our suffix telling us the homologous series. So it is very significant that if you have got 2 or more substituents and they are the same or they are identical, write their positions first. Tell us where they are found one by one. Yes, Sam, what's your question?
So said, I can regular CP more than 4.
No, you never be given more than 4. You are grade 12 learners, by the way. It's only maximum. Yeah, maximum is 4. Okay, let's look at example number 2, guys, so that you guys can see what I mean when I say they can be in different positions. When we look at number 2, this number 2 molecule, is it how many? Okay, let's test with the parent chain here. The parent chain has got how many carbons in total? How many carbons do you have in the parent chain? Yes, Orifa?
4.
Yeah, so we're having 4 carbons in the parent chain. So we can just take this straight chain to be our parent chain in this case, having 4 carbons in it. Okay, or you can even take the other chains as long as there is a highest number of carbons in them and there is also a functional group. So here, these are our parent, these are our carbons, and if we number them here, let's just say let's identify the substituents. If we say this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, this is number 4, please tell me how many substituents are we having, and mention each on and this position as well. How many substituents are we having, and mention each and its name and its position. Let's hear from ASM.
2, sir. Each first one it's on number 2, and
Yes.
the second one it's on number 3.
Okay, what is on number 2?
The substituent number 1, which is methyl.
Yes, so here on carbon number 2, you can see that carbon number 2, which is part of the parent chain, it is attached, there is a bond, or it is attached, or it is bonded. It is bonded to what? It is bonded to another carbon that is kind of its side chain, and this carbon is bonded to 3 other hydrogen. So we say that this is our methyl group. So we have a methyl group on carbon number 2. Then when we look at carbon number 3, as Sam stated here, on carbon number 3, we still have got this side chain here that is attached, and then it is still a methyl group as well, because it is still a carbon that is having 3 hydrogens. So this is still a what? This is still a methyl group. So all you have to do is to now name them. So before you start naming, you must tell us, I'm sure, the substituents, all the substituents. In this case, you're having a substituents on carbon 2 and also on carbon 3. So when you're going to write that, you're going to say that we're having a methyl group on carbon 2. And we're also having a methyl group on carbon 3. So this is 2, 3. So this 2, 3 is telling us that whatever it is that you're going to write here, it is found on carbon 2 and carbon 3 respectively. Okay, so here in this case we're having 2 methyl groups. So instead of writing methyl, you just say it is dimethyl, because there are 2 of them. So you just come here and say that 2.3 dimethyl. This is dimethyl. And then now the longest chain has got 4 carbons, so that must be a but. And then this is an alkane. So this is 2, 3 dimethyl butane. You guys all kind of say it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think it's making sense in this way. Still looking at this, look at this one. This is an alkene. Look at this alkene. Name it. Name this alkene. How can we name this alkene? Start with the parent chain. How many carbons do we have in the parent chain? Let's see. Let's start with Orifa.
So we've got 5 carbons in the main chain.
Yes, we've got 5 carbons, right? Okay, here when we are highlighting, be very careful, guys, when you're highlighting your chain. If you make a mistake and you say that this is your chain, okay, guys, this is having 5 carbons, right? This is having 5 carbons as well. Why can this not be the correct chain? Why is this not a parent chain?
So
Yes, you can answer why.
because it doesn't have the functional group of an alkene.
Yes, it doesn't have the functional group. Remember, guys, we said that the parent chain, not only does it have to have the highest number of carbons in it, it must also contain the functional group in it. So this one still has 5 carbons as well. So someone would justify and say that we still have got a high number of carbons in it. But now the fact that the functional group, in this case, which is the one of alkenes, a double bond, it is not part of the chain. So if it is not part of the chain, it can never be the parent chain. So your parent chain, no matter what happens, it must have a functional group in it. So this one is our parent chain because we do have the double bond in it. So this is our parent chain. Now when it comes to numbering, guys, are we gonna number from left to right or from right to left? Are we gonna number from left to right or right to left? Yes, Sam?
Well, so we're going to start from right to left
Why?
because of Sekala Mobaba Moses.
Okay, yes, you guys can hear that. So we start at the father of the house. The father of the house is the functional group in this context. So here, this double bond, we start counting the carbons from the carbon that is the most closest to the double bond, to our functional group, basically. So basically, we're gonna start here at carbon 1 and then count backwards. So this is from right to left, having 5 carbons. And then now identify your substituents. Which are your substituents in this case? What are your substituents? Yes, Oliver?
So it's methyl and dimethyl.
Wait,
Like
and
on the middle.
okay. Let's take it step by step. The problem is that you guys want to rush to big chunks of food when you are still having a smoother teeth. Let's start by the answering what I'm asking. I am asking, just identify the substituents that are present and tell me their positions, just one by one.
Okay.
Simply said.
Okay, so on
Yes.
carbon 2,
On carbon 2, yes.
we have a methyl.
Yes, we have a methyl group on carbon 2. So now one by one, guys, take it easy, guys. If you guys think hastily, normally you don't do these drawings and everything that I'm doing, sometimes you might get it wrong. So make sure that you highlight each and every part. So this is a methyl. Okay, proceed, Oliver.
And then on carbon 4,
On carbon 4,
We
yes,
have- we have 2 methyls, so it's a di.
Okay, before you get to the di in the first place, we have got a methyl group at the bottom. Let's just name them one by one. We have a methyl group at the bottom. We also have a methyl group at the top on carbon 4. Do you guys all see that? Are you guys all able to see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when it comes to
Yes, sir.
naming, why did I stop you, Oliver, from saying die? You would have done the wrong naming, because here, guys, remember that our criteria here, we're having 2 or more substituents, right? And all of them, they are the same. Like this is a methyl, guys. This is also a methyl. This is also a methyl. So we're having substituents of the same kind. They're identical. That's the one that we're doing for now. Now, I told you guys that if you are having substituents that are identical, you must first write a corresponding prefix first before you write the name of that alkyl substituents. For example, here, the name here is methyl indeed. But first, tell us how many they are using a prefix. Where do you get that prefix, guys? You just look at it from this table. If you are having 2 carbons, if you're having like a 2 substituents, 2 of those methyl groups, you're gonna use the di. If you're having 3 of them, you're gonna use the tri. If you are having 4 of them, you're gonna use the what? The tetra. And in this case, we can notice that we're having 1, we're having 2, we're having 3 methyl groups. So now when it comes to start now answering, you say on carbon 1 we have a methyl group, but we also have a methyl group on carbon 2, a methyl group on carbon 2, right? So first write that on carbon 2 we have a methyl group. Yes, or if I will attend to your question, don't worry. Okay, on carbon 2 we have a methyl group, comma, on carbon 4 we have another methyl group. You count them one by one, guys. Anish, you see that I highlighted them one by one. So on carbon 2, we have this one, right? A methyl group. Then on carbon 4, we've got a methyl group at the top. And also on the same carbon 4 again, we have another methyl group. So you must say comma 4 again. So this 2, 4, 4, it tells us that we have got this methyl group on carbon 2, on carbon 4, as well as on carbon 4 again. Don't be scared of repeating the same number, because repeating the same number tells us how many times are we having a certain substituent on that carbon. And then now you can now continue and proceed with the naming and say that the corresponding prefix, if we have got three methyl groups, we are going to start with a tri before we write our substituent's name. In this case, we are having tri, 3 of them, right, in total. And these are all methyl groups. So this is trimethyl. This is trimethyl. And then now you go back to your normal way of naming things. When you're naming these organic compounds, you count the number of carbons in the parent chain. In this case, there are 5. So you must have some pent there. You start just writing the pent. And then you now mention, since this is an alkene, and an alkene having more than 3 carbons, you have to tell us the position where we find the double bond. In this case, our double bond we are finding on which carbon, guys? Which carbon is our double bond?
Wow.
Yes, on carbon 1. So here the double bond is actually between carbon 1 and carbon 2. But when it comes to naming, remember, you take the lowest numbered carbons between them. So yes, indeed, the double bond is between 1 and 2. But when it comes to naming, you take the lowest numbered carbon. So this must have what? Pent 1. And then since these are alkenes, you must end with an in at the end. Let me just rewrite it so that you guys can see 2, 4, 4. Trimethyl pent 1 in. Okay, what is the other way of writing this, guys? Let's see. What is the other way of writing this? Yes, Sam.
2, 4, 4.
Yes.
Dash. Trimethyl pentene.
Pentene, just pentene. What happened to the 1?
Include 1 locus.
You want to exclude 1?
I want to say the same as. Yes.
No, you cannot exclude 1. Guys, positioning is very important. If you exclude 1, it's wrong, completely wrong. You cannot just say this is 2.4.4 trimethyl pentene. You cannot just say pentene without mentioning where we find the double bond. If I say, okay, if I just say trimethyl and then I write pentene like this, where are you guys going to draw the double bond? You're going to assume it's on position 1. No, guys, being on position 1, when the functional group is on position 1, it doesn't mean that you can just ignore the letter 1. You must write it, you must show it. That's why you say pent 1 in. Okay. What is the correct way? What is the correct way, Sam? What is the other way, guys, of writing this? After writing the trimethyl, what else can you write here?
Oh, I can see it, sir, now. And are we going to do dash after methyl dash?
Yes,
1
dash 1 dash pentene. But this one, try to abstain from it if you are not good with the numbers and the stuff like that. So remember, guys, that when we name things, let's just say I take pent 1 in, I can also name this as what? As 1 pentene. Remember, guys, that we can just take out the 1 and write it first. Not that we take it out completely, but we write it first before we write the pentene. So similarly here, I took out the 1 and then I wrote the pentene. It is still acceptable and it is still correct. So both of these names will be recognized as correct. Okay, so each name probably going to give you 3 marks. Is that clear, guys? Yes, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
it's possible, sir. uthi bakuphe into i-structure esine ethyl nesine like i-structure esiyi-1 sine ethyl ne-propyl ne-methyl.
No, not really. Not for grade 12, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
they will never give you that structure, because that structure, it will force it to have more than 8 carbons, of which in grade 12 you only do the organic compounds to a maximum of 8 carbons, with a maximum of 8 carbons in the longest chain. So once you start having ethyl, propyl, and methyl all together, definitely that is going to make a parent chain to exceed the number of carbons that you guys are your maximum. So for grade 12, no.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So that's how it works, guys. All right. So this was when we have the same substituents, like 2 or more substituents of the same kind that are identical or that look alike or that are the same, such as like 2 ethyl groups. If we've got about ethyl about 2, you would say that is a diethyl. Okay. Now let's look at this one. What if now we have got 2 or more substituents, but now these ones are now different? They are no longer the same kind. We do what? We write all of them, but we write them in alphabetic order. For example, when you look at this compound here, the first compound, this one here, the parent chain, if you can identify the parent chain here, guys, how many carbons does the parent chain have here? Yes, Orifa?
So I don't know if I'm wrong, but I would love to say 5.
Okay, you would love to say 5. Okay, let's just see, guys. First of all, if you cannot see this CH3, try to rewrite it as a complete structural formula, because I taught you guys how to write a complete structural formula. When you see CH3, just write it completely as a carbon having 3 hydrogens bonded to it. Okay, and then this is bonded to another carbon that is bonded to a carbon having 3 hydrogens up there. Do you see the CH3 that I'm doing, guys? This one, it's up there here. All right, and then there's an H here, and then here there's another C, and there's an H on top, and then down here we've got CH2. So it means we've got a carbon that is having 2 hydrogens. Yes, Oliver?
So I take it back, sir. I am confident that it is 5.
Okay, awesome. Let's see if that is true. Okay, that's CH3 again. And then now we continue. Here we bonded to another C, and then bonded to H, and then bonded to H, and then bonded to CH3. So it's carbon that is bonded to 3 hydrogens. Guys, is this hard to do? Just a kind of expanding your structure, because when you're seeing this CH2, other people don't really think in a molecular way, in a molecular formula way. So basically, instead of writing CH2, write the complete structural formula showing that we've got a carbon bonded to 2 hydrogens. Instead of just writing CH3, write a complete structural formula that we've got a carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens, as you guys can see from this beautiful structure of mine. So now, when we are now naming, let's first identify the substituents. How many substituents do we have in this compound? How many substituents? How many substituents, guys? Okay, I'm sure you said that Orifa highlighted and said that our main chain, it is this one that is consisting of how many carbons? 6 carbons, is it? 5, right? Oh yeah, it's 5 carbons. So the main chain is consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Yes, no?
So there are 2 substituents.
Yeah, 2 substituents. Okay, so let's just circle them up. We've got this substituent here that is found on this carbon. This is a side chain, and it is found on this carbon. Before we number it, let's just say it's found on this carbon. We're still going to number it and see which is the proper way of numbering. But this is one of the substituents, and then the other substituent, it is this one. This is another side chain, guys. This is another side chain. Now, when we are numbering here, guys, are we going to number from left to right or from right to left?
Sir,
Yes.
I'm gonna say this, but sir, please don't take it as like serious. So, sir, I am going to say, sir, you're gonna start from left. Sir, let me tell you why.
Why?
Even though the ethyl comes before the methyl on the letters, the first alkyl must get the lowest number. I don't know if what I'm saying is adding up.
Yes, the
But
substituent
when
must
you
have,
label, it'll be ethyl.
exactly, the substituents must occupy the lowest number possible. All right. So here, if you were to number from right to left, this alkyl group, it will be on carbon 3, and then this methyl or this ethyl group will be on carbon 3, and then this methyl group will be on carbon 4. But if you were to number like this and say this is carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, and carbon 5, our methyl is now occupying a smaller number, which is a carbon 2. Okay, not that we are prioritizing the methyl, guys. We just want all the substituents to get the lowest number possible, the lowest numbers possible. Okay, so if you count from right to left, you will definitely notice that your ethyl will be on carbon 3 and your methyl will be on carbon 4. So that's like big numbers. But if you were to count like from left to right, your methyl is now on carbon 2. That's way smaller than the previous one. Then the ethyl, this one, is now found on carbon 3. So you can see that on carbon 3 we're having an ethyl group. So this is an ethyl group. Here this is an ethyl group because it's consisting of 2 carbons, right? And then here on carbon 2 we're having a methyl group. It has got only 1 carbon in it, bonded to 3 hydrogens. Those are our side chains. Those are the only substituents present. The rest is hydrogen. So now when you are naming, at the first part of your name, you must write both the substituents, or we can say you must write all the substituents present, but you must write them in alphabetic order. Now let's now confirm, guys. Here, the first letter of the word ethyl, it is E, right? And then the first letter of the word methyl, it is M. So which letter comes first in the alphabet between the both of them? Yes, no?
Obvious, it's ethyl, sir.
Yeah, obviously it's ethyl. So you're gonna write ethyl first because the letter E, which is the first letter of the substituent, it comes first before M in the alphabetic order. So here I can just say now here, we'll mention the position where this ethyl is found. It is found on carbon 3. So the first thing that you're gonna write is the position is 3. Then now you say this is 3 ethyl. Are we done with all our substituents, guys? Can we now count the number of carbon in the parent chain? Is it all done? Yes or no?
No, sir.
What is missing?
2 methyl.
Yes, so on carbon 2. Okay, when you separate numbers and letters, you put a dash, remember? So after writing 3 ethyl, don't just write 2 methyl, put a dash first to separate the letters and the numbers. So this is the first substituent, 3 ethyl. We mentioned it first because of its of the letter E coming first in the alphabet. So this is 3 ethyl, but on carbon 2, we've got a methyl group on carbon 2. And then when we count the number of carbons, there are 5, so we must have a pent there. And then this is an alkane. You guys can now see, I'm sure you guys are now able to see this pentane at the end. So this is 3 ethyl, 2 methyl, pentane. Don't start with the methyl group, that would be wrong. Always start with the what? With the ethyl, because this letter E comes first. Even if there are 2 or even if there are 7, as long as it's an ethyl group, when we look at the name of the substituents, the letter comes first in the alphabet before the M from the methyl. So essentially, we start with the 3 ethyl, 2 methyl. Now we are done writing all our substituents. We now write the pentane. So we are going to another 10 minutes break as our Zoom will time us out again. So I want you guys to do this one. Number 2. What is the IUPAC name of compound 2?
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
Yeah, so guys, before you went to the break, you guys, I gave you this question and I think it broke your head. That is why I titled it the question, the problem that broke your head. Give the IUPAC name of this given compound. So guys, in this way, although it is a structural formula, I prefer it written in this way. Okay, please show all the bonds. Instead of just writing CH3, show us the actual carbon that is bonded to 3 hydrogens and so forth. So I'm sure you guys will be able to do that. Now let me hear from you guys. How were you guys able to name this? Yes, Orifa.
So, sir, first off, you look for the longest chain, which is
Yes.
an L. Whether it goes up or down, it's an L.
Okay. Where does it start?
Yes. It starts from the left.
Okay.
Then I just made mine going down like a.
Okay, it went down for you, something like this.
Like a.
Is this the longest chain, guys?
Yes.
Okay, Sam.
Oh no! Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's long.
I'm straight from the top until the bottom.
From the top until the bottom. Let's try to see that one. From the top to the bottom. Or will you be able to name the other substituents though?
Yes. Nothing is
Okay.
impossible.
We'll definitely give it a try. Yes, Vandisile.
I don't know if we should try Sam's first. I wanted to name the longest chain.
Okay. So let's try Sam's first. So Sam says he took it from top to bottom, like literally this one, right?
I think so.
Which one?
Sir.
Well, I'm listening. I'm listening to Sam's Sam's one. Is it this one, Sam?
Yes.
Oh, so this is your parent chain. How many carbons is it having inside, Yambe?
2, 4, 6, 7, sir.
7. Awesome. So it means everything else that is not part of this red highlighted area, it is a side chain, right?
Yes, sir.
But the problem is, can you name it? Let's start here with this side chain. Okay. Please name it and tell me how you did.
Yes, sir. I found. Okay, let me tell you, sir. I found from the Shinding Palile, the I found 4,55 tri-ethyl -4 -methyl -1 heptane.
Okay, I want to hear one by one each and every substituent. Okay, because I'm sure you guys can see the parent chain, right? The parent chain that Sam did. This is Sam's parent chain. So this is Sam's parent chain. So from Sam's parent chain, let me just add the Sam's. This is Sam's parent chain. Okay. So from Sam's parent chain, guys, do you see that here we are having like this ethyl group? Do you guys see this ethyl group?
Yes.
Okay, this is definitely an ethyl. You can see it. But what about this other part, guys? How did you name this all of this part? Because you're assuming it to be a side chain.
Well, sir, that part I said it's a combination of ethyl and methyl, sir.
No. You can never have a side chain that is a combination. Never. You can never have a side chain. Guys, the side chains that we said we have here now, we say that we have got a methyl, we have an ethyl, we have a propyl if there are 3. Okay, so we can never have a side chain having a combination of both ethyl, methyl, and everything else, like a complete compound. Yes, Shadrach.
Okay, so let me explain.
We'll come back
yes,
to you.
sir.
Yes.
So mine, I started from the left,
Yeah.
and then from the left, when I get to carbon number 4, I went up. Either way, whether you go up or down, it's still the
Yes.
same thing.
All right. Okay, so let's just give one more time to Sam to try and justify himself. Continue, Sam.
Okay, sir. Then, sir, ngithathe ngathi this part ye-long chain ayikho, ngayenza le the second short one a chain, ngase ngiyiname, after that I combined it.
No, you are not supposed to make combinations in naming the substituents. The IUPAC naming standard is one, Sam, and you've been doing it the entire time. Which you identify the parent chain, and any other thing attached to the parent chain is a substituent. So when at the moment you say that this one that is going from up to down, this is your parent chain, it means that this carbon chain that we have attached to the parent chain, it is a substituent. Even this whole thing, this whole big thing that I've circled with green here, it is also a substituent. But the problem is that can you name them?
Yes, sir.
Because the first one we say that this one is an ethyl. This one is definitely an ethyl because it's just 2 carbons and 5 hydrogens. That's how an ethyl group looks like, right? But this one, this whole big mess here, naming it nje, it's something else, because if you name it like say it's a normal alkane or something, it would be wrong completely. Have we ever done any alkyl group, guys, that looks like this, that has got a complex structure like this so far? Did we?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
An alkyl group, which alkyl group looks like this, guys? This one.
How was Sam?
Oh, you mean the alkyl group? I've never seen it.
The alkyl groups that we did, guys, is methyl. It's just a simple carbon that is having 3 hydrogens bonded to it. This is the first alkyl group that we did, is a methyl. The second one is an ethyl. It's 2 carbons, and then they've got 5 hydrogens bonded to them. And then the other bond, remember we said that it goes to the parent chain. So this whole complex thing, if you're gonna name it separately, it's already wrong, because each and every substituent, it has got its own name. So you cannot name them separately. You're not allowed to name them separately, then combine them later. Are we clear, guys?
Yes, we are crystal clear.
Are you clear, Sam, when I say that you are not
Yes.
allowed to name this like separately?
Yes, but
Guys, Sam, no but. No.
No, it's incorrect. It's incorrect. Thing is, the part will not work because there is a parent chain. There is an actual parent chain. Is that as you guys are lazy to like count one by one and make the chain? You need to count one by one and look for all possibilities, all possible chain before you can decide that this is the parent one. Okay.
Yes, Sam, you're so funny, Sam. Like, you're the funniest person ever. Sam, you remind me
Okay.
of myself. Last year when I was writing trig, and I wrote my own things.
Okay, so nonetheless, so Orifa's method was to move from left to right, and yes. Okay, so Orifa's first way was to move from left to right. Then when she got on carbon number 4, she moved downwards like this, and she got 7 carbons in it. Okay, this has got 7 carbons. If you count the carbons here, there are 7. But also Shedrack also gave us the same another parent chain that is still having the same number of carbons, but the only difference is that when Shedrack got to carbon number 4, instead of going down like Orifa did, he went up to make his parent chain. He went up like this. Both of them, they are still correct because you still obtain an equal number of carbons in the parent chain on both of them. Do you see, guys, that all of them will yield us the same number of carbons, and in this case it is 7.
yes, sir.
Yes, so it's essentially we can say with him, you can either use you can either use the the one from Orifa or the one from Shedrack. Those are the only two possible parent chains that we can have from this structure. So we can now say that this is our parent chain. Yes, Pandisile?
So the other parent chain is from chain number 3, you go down, which is a U shape facing downwards.
Wait, from where to where?
From carbon number 3.
Yes.
From the bottom to the top, then you move as a U shape facing downwards.
That's where the problem begins. You are not allowed to turn 2 times. So whenever you are making your chains, you can only turn once. That's the maximum. So the moment you want to make your chain and you make it like this, something like this, from here and then up here and then up here and then up here, and turn 2 times, making this kind of a U shape, this cannot be a chain. A chain must only turn once. That's the maximum number of turns that it can have. So it can never be a U shape. It only be an L shape.
It means that I've been making the biggest mistake, because our teacher told us even a U shape, it can be a longest chain.
Oh, well, I know. Don't take the U shape. You must only turn once. Okay, you can only turn once. That is the maximum number of turns that you can have. Like this. This is just 1 turn. So you usually make an L shape. So here from this one, guys, let's now look at the positioning of the carbons. Am I going to count from here? Am I going to count from here until the topest carbon there? Or am I going to count from this topest carbon until this one?
From the bottom carbon to the top.
So from the bottom to the top, so that our substituents would have like the lowest number possible. If you guys notice here, we have a substituent here. This is a substituent, right? It's a methyl group. You guys can now see that this is a methyl because it's like it has got 1 carbon. This is methyl. And then on this carbon, the very same carbon, guys, on this carbon here, this carbon, before we number it, this carbon, it also has got a 2 carbon side chain. This one is our substituent. What is the name of this substituent?
So which one?
The one that I just highlighted now. This one on this one.
Ethyl.
It's ethyl, right? So we can say that we've got our ethyl group again. So when we number the carbons, we must number closer to these branches. Okay, so that at least we can have a lower number on them. So this will be carbon 1, this is carbon 2, this is carbon 3, this is carbon 4, then we go up, this is carbon number 5. Okay, carbon 5 is supposed to be here, and then this is carbon 6, and then this is carbon 7. So we're having 7 carbons in the longest chain. So we know that our name would have a hept in it later on. But now let's complete identifying the substituent. What other substituents can you guys see from this structure? What other substituents can you guys see from this structure provided? Yes, Orifa?
So the on carbon 4.
Yes. What do we have on carbon 4?
The first one that you can, or that you are supposed to see, is the ethyl, because it comes first before propyl.
Yes, we have an ethyl there. Okay, you can see the propyl first. It only matters when it comes to naming. Okay, so we have got an ethyl there. Do you guys see that here on carbon number 4, we've got a side chain and it's having 2 carbons, so that's an ethyl group. Those are just 2 carbons making a kind of a straight line. They don't really bend too much. It's an ethyl group. And then Orifa says we also have a propyl group, because on the same carbon, which is carbon number 4, we have this group here. Do you guys see this group here? The one that I'm circling right now, this one. Do you guys see it on carbon 4?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and it has got 3 carbons in it. So remember, guys, when we've got 3 carbons in the alkyl group, we go to our table 3 times it takes propyl. So basically this is a propyl group. So this is all the side chains that we have, because we've highlighted all side chains here. We don't have any other side chains remaining. You guys can see that we don't have any other carbons that are not part of the parent chain and that are not part of what we have circled right now. So we have circled all the side chains, all the alkyl groups in this case. We have a methyl, we have an ethyl, we've got an ethyl, we've got a propyl. Now when it comes to alphabetic order, guys, let's hear from you. Out of all of these, which one will come first on the alphabet? Orifa?
Ethyl.
Ethyl. So because E comes first before P, before M, we already know that ethyl. So we have got two of these ethyl groups. So you're going to start by writing ethyl first. And there are two of them. Do you guys see that we have got two ethyl groups here?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, we have one on carbon 4, this one, which is attached to carbon 4 of the parent chain. Then we also have got another one on carbon 3, which is attached to carbon 3 of the parent chain. So we've got two ethyl groups there. So when we're going to write, what am I going to write here? What am I going to write here? Since we're having two ethyl groups, yes, Sam?
We're going to say 3,
3,
comma,
3,
4,
4.
a diethyl group.
Yes, it's
Diethyl.
dash, as dash, and then you write diethyl. Diethyl. So you guys should never forget that this 3, it means that on carbon 3 we have an ethyl group, and also on carbon 4 we also have an ethyl group. That's why you put a di. So this di is telling us the number of substituents that we have, because both of them, these are all ethyls, so they are kind of the same type. And when you say that we've got two or more substituents of the same type, we must have some corresponding prefix that that tells us how many they are. In this case, there are two ethyl groups. And then what else? Yes, Orifa.
So now that we have done ethyl, so we now look at the next letter in the alphabet, which will be M.
Yes,
So we're going to write the
M.
ethyl.
So do you see that, guys? After the E, the next the substituent that has got the next letter in the alphabet after E, it is methyl, because the first letter there is M. Okay, so that's methyl. And which position is it found on? What are we gonna write here actually? What are we gonna write?
The
Yes, Oliver.
so we're gonna say 3 methyl.
Dash first.
Dash.
Yes,
What is it?
dash.
Yes, sir. Not hash, dash.
Dash 3, and then we have a methyl group that is found on carbon 3. Okay, so this a dash, it separates a letter and a number. So this is dash 3 methyl. What else is there? What else is there, guys, besides this 3.4 diethyl? Let's see, Sam.
Going to say dash
Dash
4,
dash 4
propyl.
propyl. Yes, because the only remaining substituent now, it is propyl, guys. We've already done ethyl, we've already done the methyl, so we are only remaining with propyl, and it's only one, so you don't have to use the di, tri, tetra. So basically it's 4 propyl, so it means on carbon number 4 we've got a propyl group. And then now, are we done with all substituents, guys? Is there any other substituents between besides these ones? Because we've already written them in alphabetic order, of course. What else after this?
The root name.
Yes, we now go to the root name, and on the root name we look at the number of carbons. We're having 7 carbons in the parent chain, so that ought to be a hept. And then now you guys will tell me what is the homologous series to which this compound belong.
Alkane.
So what must I write?
Heptane.
Heptane. does an alkane have any positions like hept 2A?
No, sir.
Why not?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because
Doesn't
it's
have a
saturated.
Because it's saturated.
It has one bond. Isn't that what saturated mean?
Well, yeah, it is indeed, but why are we not indicating the position of the functional group in an alkane? Yes, sir.
Because China Baba Umuzi.
Yes, yeah. Simple terms. I know about almost. You guys can hear that very beautiful way of phrasing things there. So, okay, guys, the functional group of alkanes, it is found everywhere. Okay, because the functional group of alkanes is just single bonds between carbon atoms, and here we are having single bonds between carbon atoms like everywhere. So you don't have any particular position that you would mention it is found on carbon 2, normal on carbon 3, because the single bond, which is the functional group for alkanes, it is found everywhere. So that's why we will have this as the final name. 3.4 diethyl means that you've got two ethyl groups. One is on carbon 3 and another one is on carbon 4. So the di tells us that we're having two. If you don't write the di is wrong, then it's an ethyl. Then after that is on carbon 3, we have a methyl group because we're having this group that has got one carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. So it's a methyl group. Then on carbon 4, we have got a propyl group. It's a propyl because it's consisting of 3 carbons following each other. Of course, you guys know that we have got 1 here, 2, 3 carbons, so it's a propyl. And then now after completing all your substituents, your root name, it must have what? It must have the number of carbons in the parent chain. In this case, there are 7, you put the hept. And then the last part of the name is an ane because this is an alkane. Let's hear Bandesile.
So I wanted to justify my answer of using a U shape because I also gave the same answer. And another reason is that if I can remove the first carbon molecule in a different structure, then on going to the currently fourth carbon atom, I remove the propyl there on top. My longest chain will be also U. Do you understand what I say?
Okay, it works for this compound, but when you are naming, never make a U shape. It'll one day get you a wrong answer. Don't worry, it can work for this one. I can see what you say. What you're saying was if you make the U shape, at carbon 4, you're gonna have an ethyl and a propyl, and at carbon number 5, you're gonna your methyl group will be on carbon number 5. That's the thing here. Do you notice that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, your methyl group will be on carbon number 5. That's already different. Yeah, that's already different.
I'll start naming from the bottom on the carbon number 3 from the
the one with 10 CH3. This one.
Yes, I'll start naming from the
Then your carbon 3 will be having CH3 and also having the ethyl group, right? It is okay. Yeah. Carbon 3 having an ethyl group. Then carbon 4 or carbon 4 would be having a propyl and an ethyl as well. Then you continue. Yes, for this one, definitely it will give you the name. It will give you the name, but it's not recommended. Never use a U shape. It is likely going to give you the wrong answer.
Okay.
Yes, try your best to minimize the terms into only one. Yes, sir.
So, sir, if ever I say from this longest chain, I change it to a straight chain, therefore I find the same answer, sir.
If you change it and make it a straight chain.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and you said that the parent chain is the straight chain here, not the L-shaped one.
Nah, L shape, but then I change it from L to straight shape to straight line. Therefore, and I find the correct answer. So, sir.
Yeah, well, okay, when you are constructing it, let's say they give you a name. Let's say they give you this name: 3.4 diethyl 3-methyl 4-propyl heptane. And then now you construct that. You will see, Uti, if you try to name it again, will it still give you this? Just make sure that you post it in the group. If it's incorrect, we can easily debunk it. But if they tell you to construct it, you can just construct the heptane as a straight chain having 7 carbons, as Sam is saying. And you put on carbon 4, you put the propyl, and then on carbon 3, you put the methyl. On carbon 4 again, you put the diethyl as well. On carbon 4, you put another ethyl group as well. When you are given a name and you have to write the structural formula, in that way you do what you want. You can make it a straight chain or you can make it an L shape, but essentially it must be still the same compound.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Also, guys, just one more thing, guys, before we go. Just one more thing. I know our time's already up, but I don't know if I can find empty space here. Okay, let me just go back slightly. I want you guys to make sure that you don't fall to this trap. There's this trap that you guys often fall into. If I write something like this is my organic compound, and then now I say this is carbon, this is carbon, and then H here, and then H here, and then H here, and then H here. Okay, and then H here, 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 and then we put an H, we put an H, and we put an H. Okay, do you see that this compound, guys, it is having a, we can say that it is having an ethyl group, right? Can you guys see that on carbon 2, let's just say this is our main chain, right? Let's just say for now, just say it's a main chain. Pretend that you don't know that it's not actually the main chain. Let's just pretend that this is a main chain. Do you guys see that on carbon number 2, we have got an ethyl group, like 2 carbons that are bonded to one another? Do you see that, guys?
Yes, sir.
So now when you want to do the shapes, remember we said that you can only turn once. So someone else who would like to make a parent chain, they will try to do something like this. They've turned once, and now they will fear to turn again and make a U shape, because we say that a U shape is restricted, right? Because if we make a U shape, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. But now the actual thing is that, guys, such a structure like this, it has been drawn in the wrong way. Okay, an ethyl group, when you are drawing it, you don't have to turn this carbon. So when you are drawing the structure of an ethyl group, don't write this carbon like horizontally in this way. Rather, just straighten it out, write it in this way. Like it must be 2 carbons that are following each other in a straight chain, in a straight line. There is no need for you to write your carbon horizontally like this. Okay, yes, Sam.
So say it would be incorrect if nangitinabo from carbon atom 1,
Yes.
carbon atom 2, and nyachila from there nyali ngena ku branched the part lesiyenze a branched ngihamba ngayo yonke.
Yeah, this
And
will be
then
good.
after I know like that.
Yes, it will be correct now in this way after you write it in a straight way. But some people will be scared to turn twice, Anish. If it happens, I'm sure you saw it in the first time I drew it. When you turn twice, it kind of makes a U shape. And other people will now be scared with how man will say that a U shape doesn't work and whatnot. And they end up saying that the parent chain has got 4 carbons. But whenever you write an ethyl group or a propyl or anything, just like this compound that we just did right now, guys, the propyl group or the ethyl group or the methyl group, whatever it is, a alkyl group, these carbons, they must be straight. You see that they are like following each other in a vertical way. They must all be following each other in the same chain. We shouldn't have something like a CH2 and then one of them is now going in another direction. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So when you are the correct naming for this compound, here that we have where is it? The correct naming for this compound would be for us to say that our chain, it is coming here from here. Okay, or you can turn it in any way that you want. Okay, this is our correct chain, parent chain, having the most number of carbons. You guys can see now that here we're gonna have a lot of carbons, more than the first one. We're gonna have a whole 5. But with the way that it was drawn, you would be scared to even highlight it. Okay, you see that, guys? Here's a homework for you. Let's go find the homework. Where's the homework? The homework that you should have ready by Thursday. This one. 1.1, you give the IUPAC name for each of the following organic molecules. Then 1.2, you write the structural formula for each of the following. You just correct the name here. This is actually a trimethyl. It's a wrong spelling a bit, but this is the activity that you have, guys. On Thursday, you guys must be done, of course, but we are continuing. We are gonna be naming haloalkanes. We need to name ketones, alcohols, carboxylic acid.
Okay, let's pray.
Okay.
Father, we pray in the name of Jesus, the Son of living God. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for whatever that we have learned, my Father, in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, as we are going to sleep, you are going to sleep with us, my Father. As we are going to wake up tomorrow and go to and learn, Father God, you will still be with us forever. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. I think we do have tests in this video calls.